Tomodachi, if you haven't noticed it today, we're actually taking the show on the road.
No shit, Sherlock.
3, 2, 1. We are live.
We are live. Live?
Live.
This is live.
Live.
Oh, I thought this was taped.
No,
okay.
no. It's a live record. It's a live recording.
All right.
Dude, I've been wanting to get you on the podcast for a while now.
So you must say.
Super excited about it. I've been a huge fan for decades now and known you for decades.
Likewise. What are you talking about? Oh, my goodness.
I want to try this, and I want you to do it for me too. It's like, please tell me your Japanese story, right?
Please tell me your journey story.
Yeah.
Right.
Dude, so we're going to go over that for sure, but how crazy was that?
That was crazy.
That was a crazy show.
I had a lot of fun doing that.
Tell us about that show a little bit.
That show was on for a total of 9.5 years. The actual show itself went on longer. My section, my corner, was on for about 9.5 years.
Wow.
And the first, I think 3.5, maybe 4 years, was just me solo, walking around with a big board, going around town, basically interviewing Japanese people in English, and having them trying to give me a story background using the phrase of the day.
It was hilarious.
Yeah.
It was hilarious.
So the thing was, how bad are Japanese in speaking English?
Right.
And it was done comedically. It was done, with tongue in cheek sort of, and basically, them trying to tell their story in Japanese first. In English is basically where I took a piss out of them.
Right.
And it was not that I was, dehumanizing them or making fun of them per se, but because I understood Japanese, because I've been growing up here, I know exactly what they want to say, and it would come out all, mumble jumble, and that was just really, really funny.
Yeah, it was really funny. Who came up with the idea for that?
I don't know. TBS, obviously. And what the initial thing was I'd walk around I remember the very, very first board that I had was eggplant. just eggplant. Yeah. And the scenario was I could not speak Japanese.
Right.
So not a word of Japanese came out of my mouth when I first went to interview some of these people.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, okay, eggplant. Okay. What is eggplant in Japanese?
Right.
And they were like, eggplant, tamago, shokubutsu. It's like, no. What's tamago shokubutsu? English. And like, egg puranto, that sort of thing. So they were trying to get them to kind of, vocalize their thought process of what the word meant to them. And that was very short-lived because you could only do so many words.
Right.
And what would happen then is, they'd want a little bit more of a story. They want to, broaden it a little bit. So they came up with a phrase. Yeah. Right? So the phrase would be, embarrassed. Right. And
Tell me you embarrassed story.
Yeah, exactly. And so I would, make it into a story. So that actually I coined the phrase, please tell me your 90 story. Because it would be, I try to simplify the English as much as possible so that at least we could start communicating. Yeah. Because in the very, very beginning, I was only speaking English. And then after a while, they'd be like, okay, forget it. Because we can't speak English and I don't understand what you're saying. You're not understanding what I'm saying. So I got back to the director. I'm like, dude, this is, we're very, very limited with what we can work with. Yeah. I got to at least show that I can understand a little bit of what they're saying to egg them on a little bit more so that we can, go a little bit further and deeper. Yeah. And so then I would, start throwing in 1 or 2 Japanese words, and that would kind of put their guard down a little bit. And then we'd get a little bit more into the conversation.
Don't you think it's hilarious, though, that, these I used to watch the show a lot, but they study English for like 7 or 9 years.
Oh, it's crazy, yeah.
And that's the level that they end up with.
Exactly.
Like in Denmark, we study, German for 7 years, I think. At the end of it, I spoke German.
Right.
Like at a normal conversational level, I was okay. I could hold it, not a scientific conversation, but I could have some kind of conversation. But it doesn't happen here in Japan. Why is that?
Because their English is very limited to just, passing tests. It's not a functional English. It's not an English that, is a survival English. It's basically, learn a bunch of words, learn how to put, grammar, right? That's the first thing they teach them is grammar. Yeah. They don't teach us grammar, right? They don't teach Japanese grammar. You start off with, I, U, A, O. Right, we start with the ABC, right, and then we spit out words and we learn vocabulary and how to pronounce and so on and so forth. Yeah. But they're like, okay, let's take the subject and the verb, and it's like, what's a subject? What's a verb? What?
What's with the David Letterman beard, man?
Is it? Since I've had a lot of my jobs canceled because of the COVID situation over here in Japan, and I did a lot of my jobs that I was doing were travel programs, right, and so I was kind of clean shaven, or at least I went to Europe. I had a nice little stubble going, and it was good.
Trim there.
Yeah, and once I didn't have to show my face so much, I just kind of got lazy, and I'm like, whatever, let it grow, and here we are.
It looks good, man.
6 months later.
I mean, it takes some serious balls to have a beard like that.
And I have been approached about it. My daughter has also, been like, "Oh, Daddy, I don't like your beard." I'm like, "Yeah, honey, but this is the first time I've actually grown a full beard.
Right.
I want to see what I can do with it." And I want to see.
You don't really know what it's going to look like until you get there, right?
Exactly, because it's always, at a certain point, like,
Yeah.
But so here we are. I'm doing it.
I'm kind of still there where I'm like, I'd grow it for a week or two, and then it gets like,
right. You have to pass that stage.
Yeah.
It's just like growing out your hair as well. You got to pass that certain stage.
I still shave underneath here though.
Yeah.
Because it just gets too itchy. But your hair is like really long. I mean, it looks great on you. It suits your character, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What character is that?
I don't know. The Thane Camus character.
There we go. Thank you. Yes.
Anyway, we got slightly sidetracked
a bit, yeah.
So go back to the show there, right?
So back to the show, yeah. So, please tell me and why Japanese don't speak English so well is basically because of the education system. It hasn't changed for the past 50 years.
Wow.
60 years almost, yeah.
Why would they not try and fix that?
They are trying to, but there's always, I guess there's too much bureaucracy. There's too much red tape. There's too many people that are in a higher echelons of, the education system that believe that. And I've been on the Tokyo English Education Committee.
Interesting.
Basically, yeah. And, we the younger people were talking about like Rakuten, a guy from Rakuten would come and he's like, yeah, Rakuten has changed all English in the company.
Inside the company, right? They all internal comms is all done in English then.
Exactly.
So what if you don't speak English? Then you're not working for Rakuten?
No, you'll pick it up, you'll learn, because basically that's what's happening. It's kind of a surrounding, immersion, I guess, into the English language. But some of these really older guys were like, oh well, kids shouldn't learn more than one language when they're starting off because they need to focus. And I'm like, dude.
That is so wrong.
I lived in Lebanon and Egypt, and my first language was English, obviously, but I spoke Arabic and French, and then I came to Japan. I learned Japanese. I was speaking 4 languages at one point.
Look at the
Europeans.
That's nuts,
I used
man.
to. Yeah.
You lost it?
I lost it. Nobody to speak with.
That's true. It's like I lost my German too.
Right.
But man, but it's true. But you're a living proof of that. Because I met this kid in Canada, so in Quebec, right?
Right.
And so they speak French and English in Quebec. His dad was raised Italian.
Oh.
So there's only three languages, right? And then his mom was from Jamaica or something like that.
Yeah,
there was like another. There was 4 different languages, and this kid, he was like a little monster running around, right? But he spoke in all the languages. He understood, could everything, just pick up on it.
Right. And there's, a lot of science to back it up, as far as languages and whatnot concerned. The kids' brains are spongy.
Yeah.
They'll suck up anything. So what this guy was saying was like, dude, what are you talking about? The more languages you put into the kid is better. And then we actually did a jintai jikken. What is that? A human experiment on my kids.
Yeah.
My very first kid. My firstborn was, we figured, he's born in Japan. He's going to learn Japanese whether he likes it or not the minute he steps out of the house. Yeah. So we focused hardly on English, a lot on English. And the thing was, his English was so much better that he had a complex, I guess, towards Japanese.
Ooh.
So he wasn't speaking Japanese as we thought he would. So he was having difficulty communicating with grandma, for example. So the second kid came along. We're like, all right, let's focus a little bit more on the Japanese, right? And we'll keep the English going. And his Japanese is great, and his English was all right.
Yeah.
And then he went to an international preschool. So, his English caught up, and, it was all great. Yeah. And so at the preschool, we're like, okay, so what is the ideal situation for these kind of things? And they're like, well, if you're in an international marriage, and then let's say the husband is American, for example, and the wife is Japanese, it's best for each respective parent to speak their respective languages to the kids.
Yeah.
Because what it is the kids do not differentiate between languages. They don't know the difference between Japanese and English.
Right.
What it is they learn that, to speak to dad this certain way and to speak to mom this certain way.
Yeah.
And, boom, when they realize, like, oh, I was speaking, English to dad and Japanese to mom, and here we are, bilingual kids. So that's what we did to the third kid.
That's exactly what I did to my kids.
There you go.
I remember Kate, my firstborn. And so we know each other's children. So we used to play together when we were kids and stuff like that. But yeah, so the first one, I remember I only spoke English to her. So I regret that I didn't speak Danish to her. I could have spoken also Danish. She would have picked it up, right?
Yeah.
I think she was about 2.5, maybe 3. And the first time when she spoke English, I remember this very vividly. So she was sitting down watching a Ghibli movie. And on the sofa, and it was just after breakfast, and I was like, "Okay, Kate, come on, we gotta go," because I had to go to work out. I drop her off at the kindergarten, and then I needed to go work out. I was still fighting at the time, training for fighting and stuff. Anyway, so she looks at me and she goes, "But Daddy, I want to watch the movie." And I was just like, "Oh my God!" And I sat down and said, "Okay, let's watch the movie together."
Training can wait.
Yeah, I don't need to train today.
Right. So what do you like about the movie? Right? Yeah, you just start communicating. Yeah, no, it was great.
And on the flip side of that is that I also remember the day that they realized that I spoke Japanese.
And from there on, it switches off, right?
Yeah, so we're in the car, and we're driving a really long road trip with the whole family and everything. And I'm sitting up front, driving the car, and Emily, my second daughter, sitting beside me. And so she had some project for her schoolwork where she had to interview somebody. Okay. So I said, "Okay, well, I'll teach you the interview style stuff, get on the voice and everything." And, and then I did it in Japanese. And she goes, "But you're speaking Japanese." And I said, "No."
Was that Japanese, really?
Did you not pick up on me speaking Japanese to your mom? So yeah, it was crazy. And then after that, she almost like instantly refused to speak English to me.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, so be careful of those human experiments.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, with the third kid, by the time the third kid came along, we were basically, it was all champon. Yeah. So we're really speaking English and Japanese, throwing it around. And the kids were very, very comfortable with that. And the oldest one didn't speak Japanese as much, so they would have to communicate in English with the oldest brother.
Wow!
Right, and then
There's a lot going on there.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it was a natural process of just both languages flying around all the time. And then we had a lot of international couples, right, that had kids that went to the international schools and they only spoke English. And so we were always surrounded by people who were bilingual. Yeah. Which is great. They had nothing to sort of be wary of. Yeah. Right? And when they went to the Japanese school, I remember because we were living in Setagaya at one point. And then we switched over to Tokyo, same Tokyo, but in Nishiazabu. Yeah. And in Nishiazabu, they had a Japanese school, which was a role model school for all the other schools around that basically taught Japanese as a second language. It was called Nihongo Gakkyu. Yeah. And this was for all the foreign kids, because there's so many embassies around there, right? And it was a very, very international school. It was a local Japanese school, but all the kids, I mean, half the school were like embassy ambassador kids, and the other half were Japanese. But even in the Japanese, we had, the Koreans and the Chinese and so it was a really, really mixed school. And they had, so this one class that, a lot of the kids that came back, the expats, right? The Japanese expats that would come back that had been spending a lot of time in abroad that didn't speak, needed to catch up with the Japanese would go into this class, or the foreign kids would go here to pick up on the Japanese first, and then they'd be transferred back to a normal class. That's amazing. So that was a great, really cool. That's why we moved actually for that particular school, so we could chuck the kids in there.
Should have told me about that one.
Should have asked.
I was probably already divorced by that time, so it is what it is.
No, you weren't. No.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Anyway, you said Nishiazabu, which kind of triggered something, right? So I know you used to live in that area, so you used to bump into you all the time.
Heart and Beauty, yeah.
Because, it was called Heart and Beauty, and now it's called CrossFit Nishiazabu. So, we changed the name and everything, and the shop is still there. But so you used to come to CrossFit?
I did. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about that.
Wow.
How did you like that?
I actually enjoyed that. That was, you were very gracious because I guess, the notoriety of you come to my gym and it looks good for me too, and makes me look good because I'm pumping up and stuff.
Absolutely,
but I enjoyed that. I actually had a good time doing it, but I had knees. I've got knee trouble. Yeah, and I've got 2 titanium bolts in this knee, and then this knee is starting to wear down because of that. Putting up with this knee, so that started taking a little bit of toll on me. And CrossFit is really gung ho
Can be pretty intense.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
That's all I can say.
And then, once you have like a little, niche or a tweak or something, you can't quite go fully, and you got to take a little bit of a break. And that kind of started, I think, taking a little bit of a toll. But I really enjoyed it. I was
cool. I have actually, as personally, gone through a lot of injuries. For overworking and overtraining. I have 2 fake hips, right? So I got hip replacements, right? And because of the hip replacements, when I start to lift heavy, or if I do like the heavier, bigger, stronger, like CrossFit workouts, I get in pain. Like my knees start to swell up and this and that. So I've completely stopped lifting heavy things. And it's much better now.
Yeah.
It's just
and have you incorporated that into your like daily routine and the CrossFit sort of?
So I don't teach anymore the CrossFit now, but I go to the gym and work out.
But you still have your box though.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean, that's okay.
I just found a great manager and got a great team of coaches,
the way to do it,
and I just like take a step back from it.
Yeah.
So becoming an owner finally.
Yay.
Do other cool things like the podcast that you're watching right now. But like training for me really changed over the years. Like I used to want to lift more, do more, be the best, be the strongest, do this, and it's just like I went through a good year and a half where I had swollen knees, and swollen knees is horrible, man. Like you can't do anything, and it feels like because there's this knot of water inside the knee and the backside, right? It feels like there's something about to snap. So you're like,
I got that. Yeah.
But I need you to tell me that story of how you smashed your knee the first time, though.
Oh, geez. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Well, actually, just for my own redemption, I was on Yokosuka base, actually.
Okay.
And I was with my best friend at the time, and we were playing tag football. And they're like, oh, you're American, you know about football. I'm like, no, I'm growing up in Japan. I don't know anything about American culture, although I do hold a passport. So they're like, catch the ball and run and, go tackle and do whatever. I'm like, okay. So I was running and this guy came towards me and I'm like, okay. And,
what do you do?
What do you do? The guy just, boom, runs into me. And that's when it snapped. Ooh. And I was like, I heard 2 distinct snaps. Pop, pop. Oh, and I was just like, and I tried to stand up and my knee just gave in. And I was just like, oh my goodness. And then I stood up again. Finally, I'm like, whoa. And all the blood just drained from me. I was just like, whoa. I felt sick. I was just like, oh my goodness, something's not right. Something's not good. And at that particular moment in time, they were like, well, we're on the base. You're American. You are a civilian, but, we could take you into the emergency room and, do just an arthroscopic, probably on the spot.
What?
And it wouldn't be a problem. And so I'm like calling my mom, like, Mom, I just did my knee. And she's like, no, don't touch your knee. No, I don't want to freeze it, right? To fuse it together. And I'm like, why would they do that? But again, being mom from the older generation, if your knee is not working, they don't, they fuse it and you're limping for the rest of your life kind of thing. So I'm like, but this is American military high grade stuff. They're not gonna, do anything to screw with you.
When you think about it, it's probably the best place to go.
Exactly.
Because they are trained to do the right thing.
Right. Emergency situations. They need their soldiers back up there and going. And I was just like, Mom, they're like, nope, you're coming straight home. I'm like, oh, fuck. So, I had this huge cast. They took me in, they checked it out and did whatever. I think it was a torn meniscus at the time. Yeah. And they just left it. And I just left it. So I was walking around for a while with this knee that would, occasionally slip. Ooh. And I'd like, oh, shit. I'd be walking and I'd be like, oh, hey guys. And I'd, run to catch up. And all of a sudden it would like dislocate, right? You got this comfortable wedge right there, but it would just like, pop out. Ugh. And I'm like, oh, damn. So I'd sit there and like pop it back in. Oh, sorry, guys, and come back. So that became a regular thing for me. Right. Then I went to university and I started doing fencing. Yeah. And it was okay. I was like, oh, okay, all right. I guess I was building muscle up around it. And then finally I came back to Japan. I was in Roppongi one night. Yeah. Yeah. And I was with
Tomodachi, for those of you who do not know what Roppongi is, it is a very condensed area of a lot of drinking places. Yeah. Bars, clubs, and it's like a little nightclub area.
Yo, totally. Yeah, it would probably be a good comparison to like, Pop Pong and Thailand or some other really sleazy, nice Yeah, raunchy places around the world. Yeah, you put those together, Roppongi. Yeah.
And so you're in Roppongi.
I was in Roppongi.
You must have been intoxicated then.
Intoxicated? Nah, inebriated. Yeah, I was like off my face. And I had a friend of mine who needed to go back to the station. I'm like, I'll take you. And it was drizzling rain. It wasn't pouring. It was just drizzling.
Yeah.
You know that misty rain? And you got the manhole, right? That's not. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so you got the manhole that's not quite wet, but it's got it's little spittles of water on it. And I was like, okay, just jumping over the manhole, and first manhole, and jumping over the second manhole, and then jumping over the third manhole. I landed on the manhole in my sneakers. And what happens when you land on a wet manhole? You slip, exactly. So my knee just went pump, and I was like, huh. But I was drunk, right? So I'm like, I'm okay. So I continued walking my girlfriend, my female friend, to the station. Yeah. And by that time, she was catching the last train. I'm like, shit, I'm going to miss the last train. So I'm like, my knee started swelling up. I'm like, it kind of is painful. Maybe I can't go. Okay, I missed the last train. I'm going to go and drink some more to get rid of the pain.
Because that's
so
the smart
I'm
thing
bar
to do.
hopping. I'm literally hopping from bar to bar. I'm like, and I had a job the next day too.
Oh my God.
So I'm hopping, I'm drinking, getting rid of the pain. And by the time, sunrise in Roppongi, over, Roppongi Tower, Tokyo Tower, I'm like, oh shit, I got to go to work. Off my face. Knees it was 3 times the size.
Wow.
And I couldn't bend it. And a friend of mine that was with me, he caught up with me later on. He's like, what's the matter? I'm like, I just can't, He's like, yeah, where do you got to go? I got to go to Ginza. I got to get dressed in a tuxedo. I got to hand out these cocktails. It's like one of those, extra jobs, right? You hand out cocktails and you get paid 15,000 yen for the day or whatever. Yeah. I was like, I have to do that. I can't, just cancel. So he's like, okay, I'll take you there. So I sit in this little car. I can't bend my knee. Oh. So I have to sit in the back seat. And I'm sitting in the back seat. And then I go and I get dressed and all, and I just, you're supposed to walk around handing out cocktails to the guests that are coming for this particular event. I just stood there and like, here, want a drink? Want a drink? And I just could not move. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So I went to the doctor later on. They pulled out 50 cc of fluid from my knee. Ugh. I mean, 50. How about it's like 300 something? Yeah, half a can of this maybe of just fluid. I mean, it was just like,
It looks like all yellowish.
Yellowish,
it?
right?
It's really weird.
And it was mixed with blood as well, so it was like dirty yellow, nasty, muddy.
This was exactly what I was going through with my knee there a couple of years ago.
Oh wow!
I was just like on a regular basis, go and get that sucked out.
Right, and when you get it sucked out on a regular basis, what happens is you develop a pocket. And so it becomes habitual for the body. So the body apparently recognizes that as something that it needs to do. It needs to fill it up because now there's good. Exactly. And that's something that I learned. And I was like, okay, shit. So even if it swells up, because I went to an acupuncture doctor. Right. Dude, I got this like swelling in the knee. Can you pull it out? He's like, no. Like the body puts it there for a reason. Yeah. And if he wants, and the reason is to either lubricate it or to protect it or, to keep it from banging around too much, right? Yeah. So what do I do? He's like, just leave it. When the body is ready and it feels that it's healed enough, it'll retract all the liquid that it has put forth. Interesting. I'm like, wow.
I'll tell you something else you can do. You can do something else for it though. Yeah. There's something called PRP.
Chop your leg off?
No, not like that. Well, you could do that too, I guess. Yeah, right. No, PRP is a plasma-rich platelets, which is they take 2 vials of your own blood, and then they spin it.
So it separates the white blood cells, the plasma, and
exactly, it separates them into 3 portions basically, and then they take the middle part of it, which is the PRP, plasma-rich platelets, and then they inject it into whatever area that is specifically for knees. It works good on. Wow. So I got my knees healed through that.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm really
like for real, really healed from that.
And then, like to talk to you about that later.
We can talk about it now, but I mean, you go to Juntendo, I'll introduce you to the doctor and everything. Wow. They have a specific clinic for PRP. Wow. And you kind of have to get like introduction from someone to get in there. Right. I got an introduction through one of my members who is works in for hospitals and stuff like that. He's like, you should try this out. Go talk to these guys.
That is awesome.
So I can introduce you. Kobayashi Sensei, really great guy. And so what happens is I remember the first time I had it done because I was in so much pain I couldn't squat down. I couldn't even straighten my knee out. It was just like kind of stuck in this gray limbo area. Right. Go in, spin the blood. Get the injection.
It's all done in one day?
So that day, yeah.
Wow.
The only thing that takes a while is just for waiting for you to get your turn.
Right.
Yeah, but then they inject it, and then they send you home. You walk home. Like I was walking completely normally
Really?
out of the hospital. I was like, holy shit, this feels so good. I did the thing I shouldn't have done. I went straight to the gym and started deadlifting.
I feel good.
Here we go. Come on. Yeah, I literally went in on the same day, and I pulled, I think, 180 kilos on the floor.
Oh my goodness.
It's just like, so I don't do that anymore.
Well, yeah. But if you did screw your knee up, then you could always go back.
Yeah. So they say if it works...
Because it's your own blood. There's no allergic reaction.
Exactly.
Right?
There's nothing there. There's nothing but good stuff, right? If it works like a miracle almost.
Wow.
And so it worked like a miracle for me. But sometimes it doesn't work like that. But it's definitely worth a
try,
chance.
yeah.
It's very experimental. Apparently, I think it's standard procedure in the rest of the world, but in Japan, it's very experimental.
Right.
And so it's about $300.
Oh, wow.
200. I think it's 27,000 yen gurai.
Right. Well, I mean, if it lasts for a while, then
It's totally worth it.
it's not something that you need to go in, every.
I did. So I
weeks
ended
or-
up doing, I think, twice. They say if depending on how bad your knee is, you could
Right.
get fixed in one, or you could do 2 or 3 injections. Anything more than 5, then it's just not working.
Right.
And send it
But I mean, they take an X-ray, an MRI, or a CT scan, or whatever of the
Yep,
knee first
yep,
to see what the initial problem is.
They do everything.
Did you do? What was it like?
Well, for me, it's
Deterioration of your meniscus or your?
one of my meniscus is only half size
Oh wow.
because that was taken out when I was 26. Oh yeah, I've been through a lot. I think what is it now? 8 or 9 operations and 17 broken bones over the years.
Well, you're only kicking the shit out of people, and getting the shit kicked out of you too. But
So I've been through everything there. But so my knees this time, I don't even know what was wrong with it. It just started swelling up. But I think it's because when I'm running and lifting heavy stuff, right, the pressure that you normally have inside your meniscus, so also
Right.
in your hips, is less, right? So the knees are working overtime because I got fake hips.
Right.
So I shouldn't be running at all.
Right. I mean, running is good for those who can do it, but apparently for those who are not, geared towards running puts a lot of strain. I mean, on the joints. Yeah.
A lot of
From
strain
what I
also,
understand.
and also depends on how you run. Like how is your stride? Because like you got the true form
Heel
running.
first,
Right?
right.
The heel first is like that should never be taught to anyone.
Right.
Take your shoes off. You cannot run with heel first. No one strikes with the heel if they got bare feet.
Right.
So if you haven't been taught how to run properly and you just run in this one pattern where you're running heel striking, basically, you're smashing your knees, you're smashing your hip joints and everything, and it's just not healthy. It's really not healthy. But fitness has many faces. Like I said, I've changed my view on fitness over the decades. I used to train to fight,
Right.
which was specific training for fighting. And then it became just fitness, and then it became lifting, and then it was so. But I've gone through many different phases.
Right.
We're actually in the process of working on an app now.
Oh,
Fitness
awesome.
app, yeah, so you can work out at your house.
Wow.
Do you want to be a guinea pig?
Yeah, man. I got my thing there. I do my pull-ups on, and with a hammock hands.
Yeah. Nice.
I got my little ab roller that I'm working
cool.
on. Yeah, I got the beach right down there, man. I'm gonna
Exactly.
start doing surfing soon.
Yeah.
I never surfed before.
You never surfed before?
Isn't that crazy? Yeah. The beach is right there, and I grew up in this area. I
Right?
never
You're from
surfed.
here, right?
Yeah.
So you born in Japan?
No, I was born in New York,
Uh-huh.
and then from New York, my mom basically took me around the world. She was a single mom at the time, and she took me to the Bahamas. So we were in the Bahamas for a while, and then she went to Lebanon, and doing
What
some
was she doing?
journalism and stuff.
Oh, okay, interesting.
And in Japan, in Lebanon, she met my Japanese stepfather.
Okay.
And that is where they hooked up, and the war broke out. And he was regional director of the Middle East for Japan Airlines.
Oh, okay.
Very convenient, yeah. So as they were closing all the airports and the flights were being canceled and so on, I think we took like the third to last plane out of Lebanon to Egypt, and that was hijacked, from what I remember.
You were in a hijacked airplane?
I was in a hijacked airplane.
What?
It was on the ground for a
How old
couple of
were you?
hours, and then finally, I don't know. I guess they convinced the guys, and they ran off.
Oh my God.
And then boom, the doors shut, and we were off to Egypt.
That's crazy. But you
yeah.
don't remember that?
I mean, I vaguely, very, very, excuse me, snippets of memory. Yeah.
Recently, the Saigen drama? When they have those stories about, I played the negotiator
Oh, yeah.
with the hijackers.
Nice.
Oh, that's hilarious. So talking about acting, right? So I'm not quite sure about your background. Maybe you could just tell us about how you started with entertainment industry and why did you start with it?
Okay. I have always liked being in front of people and sort of making a fool of myself and entertaining, basically. And not in Japan necessarily. So, well, in Japan, right, when I first went to local Japanese school, right, I was the only gaijin kid in the school. So everywhere I went, like, oh, gaijin da! I'm like, me? What the hell? Right? So everywhere I went, I had attention, whether I liked it or not, whether I deserved it or not. But, in the classroom too, my classmates were really cool. Right, but we'd have like the rest of the school that would come down at break time, looking and their face against the window, and So my friends after a while would kind of get sick and tired of that, and they would close all the curtains.
Aw,
Really
interesting.
sweet. Yeah,
That's
really sweet. I mean, they had.
It is strange though. But that's only you're 50 now, right?
I'm 50 now. Yeah.
So that's what, like 40 years ago?
Basically,
right?
Yeah.
And it's
I was
not that
6
long
years
ago.
old. No, when you think about it, yeah. Right, so Japan has had a lot of catching up to do, and this was Fujisawa. This is just down the road.
Right.
Yeah. So, and I'm the only gaijin in that particular school, so it's pretty whack. Yeah, you can imagine how countryside it was back then.
Oh, that's just funny.
So that started off like that, and then we went. My dad got transferred to Singapore, so we obviously followed him, and we were there for about 2 years, and that's when they transferred me over to an English school.
Okay.
Right. So I was in the British school. My mom's British, and she has this thing about American being too in your face and so she went to the English school. So I went in the British school. And
do you feel British?
I don't.
Oh,
I don't feel American either.
Oh, okay.
Right? Yeah, I don't. I'm.
You have an American passport?
I do because I was born in the States.
You were born there.
Yes,
Okay.
right. So I'm born in the States. I'm a natural American citizen.
Yeah. Interesting.
Right. So
Yeah.
that's but she's British, and so she never got the green card. She just kind of went over there and.
Dude, that's so weird, man. So you have an American passport and your mom doesn't, right?
Right.
How does that make sense, right?
Well, I guess being British, again, you've got access to a lot of countries, right? American passport also has access to a lot of countries as well. Yeah. So everywhere we went basically was, either British or American friendly.
Right.
So in Singapore, the British school, I did my first drama, my first play.
Okay. Like school drama.
It was school drama, yeah. Exactly. And there I was like, I guess the lead role or runner up. And the performance, I guess, went off really well, and everybody was clapping, applauding, and that kind of gave me a rush, and I was like, wow, I like this. This is the kind of attention that I'd like, not the graduate, But and then I guess my mom had a run-in with one of the teachers. She's like, I can't deal with this school anymore, and the next best option was the American school.
Right.
So I went to they switched me over to the Singapore American school, which were more accepting of the fact that because I had grown up in Japan, my first 4 years of elementary school, I couldn't read and write English.
Oh,
I was speaking it. My mom was like, an English teacher, so she was like beating me with, trying to beat English into me. But it never really stuck. And so she switched me over to the American school. And the American school was like, yeah, we got a lot of dyslexic kids. They're more open-minded as far as these things are concerned. So, I was able to gradually catch up. But they had obviously plays there too, the school dramas.
Right.
So in Robin Hood, right? I was Little John, for example, because I was the big kid. And then we had another play, I guess, that we did as well. That was all well received.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, I really like this. Is the kind of thing that I'd like to do. When we came back to Japan, I went to St. Joseph's, which was in Yokohama. It's not there anymore, unfortunately, but that was an all-boys school.
Yeah.
And there, I was in the drama department as well. I did a bunch of plays there, and then also I was in the speech contest. So I would, and the speech contest is all about being presentation in front of a whole crowd of people. So that kind of seemed to be where my forte, my flair, sort of lay, and so I continued pursuing that. So when I graduated, I was like, okay, I'm going to go to the States. This is my dream. I've got it all set up. I'm going to go to New York. Right, and go to this particular university because I couldn't get into the other higher, more expensive one. But I'm like, this Francis Ford Coppola went there.
Yeah,
and Christopher Walken went there.
Oh yeah,
that's where I'm going. So I went there, and I was like, okay, I'm going to graduate there. I'm going to go to Broadway. I'm going to start off in Broadway, and once I've set my foot in there,
crushed it
my
there,
name, exactly. I'm going to go to Hollywood.
Okay,
and then boom, I'm a Hollywood star, and we're all good. And I went to university. I was there for about 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And it was mayhem. It was crazy. The drama department was just full of weird people.
Right.
And I mean, that's justifiably so. You know, you can't be in a sane state of mind to be a, drama department person because, you're constantly schizophrenic playing different people, and it is okay. But, I had a lot of backstabbing going on. I had a lot of, people pulling people's feet and just trying to.
I could see that. Yeah.
And I was like, this is something I really love doing. It's a passion of mine. I don't want this to bring me down and to make me have a negative, feeling towards this. And plus, at the same time, this girl that I was going out with dumped me, and she's my first love. And I was like,
life is all over.
It's all over. And my grades just shot down, and I was just like, a mess.
Yeah.
And so my guidance counselor was like, Thane, we got two options. You can continue this way, but I don't see your grades improving, and you're going to get kicked out. Or you could take a temporary leave of absence, and you'll waste a semester worth of tuition. Unfortunately, sorry, Dad, but get your shit together, come back, and just start where you left off. At least then these grades won't count. Right. You can erase those. I'm like, oh, okay. So I was like, okay, I'll do that. So I came back temporarily, and I started working at one of the extra agencies in Tokyo.
Yeah.
IMO. And I was like, okay, right? So I went there and I signed up, and the boss was there, happened to be there, and she was like, oh, you speak Japanese? I'm like, yeah, I grew up here. She's like, oh, work for me. I'm like, what do I do? She's like, oh, you can be, manager.
Right.
So you cast people. Here's the list of files of thousands of people.
Yeah.
She taught me the whole trick of the trade. Basically, you get a call from the casting agent or the TV station. They're looking for 10 white guys. So I'd like, okay, here, Nicholas, put him down. And put all these Paul, put him down as well. I got 7 more people, and wait a minute, put myself down, right?
Yeah,
and she's
exactly.
like, that's what you got to do. I'm like, okay. And so I take these guys, and I'm like, acting as well as being the manager.
Right.
So I'm translating, interpreting. So I'm like, playing manager kind of thing, role manager. And so I get paid for doing the extra job as well as being a managerial job. And I'm like, this is great.
Yeah.
Right. And as soon as I got here, the first job I got, a regular spot, was on NHK teaching English.
Just like that. Boom.
Just like that. She called up NHK. She's like, I got this guy speaks Japanese and English. He's from the drama department in the States. Right. And, what do you see? So I went to the audition. Hi, how you doing? I'm Thane.
Nailed it. Wow.
Nailed it. And then, you
That's
start next
cool.
week. I'm
That's
like,
really
shit.
cool. Yeah.
So I had my first regular job on NHK doing, the phrase of the day, skits with this other girl.
Right.
And and that went on for 6 months. And then I had a fallout with, the agency. But by this time, another guy who had previously been here started his own agency.
Right.
And he was introduced to me through another friend. Yeah. A casting agent. And so we got together, and he's like, okay, I'll get the money, to make the agency. You get the gaijin. I'm like, no problem.
Yeah.
So I'm calling all my, the guys that I worked with before. And you know how it goes, right? And there's no exclusivity
No,
in Japan.
not really.
Right.
Yeah.
So you can, call these people that are registered with 5 other agencies and go, hey, we just started an agency. Please register with us as well. And then the jobs that we get, and it's all about who calls who first, right?
So it's such a bizarre world when you think about it, because it opens up for this rabbit hole, I feel, about, how we are treated as, talent in Japan. And so for me, you're probably like the most successful when you were at your top.
Yeah.
Right? You had how many regular shows in one time? 11 regular shows.
Including radio as well. Yeah.
That's nuts.
I know, right?
Dude, you were so famous. It's crazy. How was that?
It was nuts. I mean, it was nice.
Yeah.
And when you're starting off, it's like, yeah, right. And I'm not married. I've got 3 different girlfriends, and I'm like, yeah, living it up. But you do get a little cocky, I guess, because everybody wants you, and everybody wants a piece of you, and and everywhere you go is like, oh, things. Can I take a picture? Can I get an autograph? Can I have shake your hand? And it's nice. I mean, it's it really.
Yeah.
The ego becomes huge. And, and after a while, I guess I got a little snobby. And I had actually one of my managers who was a good friend also, but, he would drive me around.
Yeah.
Right. But one time I was like waiting for him to open the door for me. And he looked at me and goes, what the fuck went up your ass? And I was like, what?
Open my door.
Open my door, right?
I am King Thane.
Exactly. He's like, you open your own fucking door. I'm like, okay, yeah, and that put me back in my spot. That broke my little nose, and I was like, I gotta, slow down a bit. This is not good. So that humbled me a bit, and I was also kind of approached by other people who were basically teaching me life's lessons on being a little bit more humble. Don't forget, and in Japanese they say ne, 初心忘ればからず, right? Remember where you first started off, so that you don't get too cocky and you remember. Those times.
I think it's very easy to become drunk on your own fame.
Yeah,
like you get to a point where it's like, for example, when I fought in 2001 and beat Musashi in the final with 48% on the TV ratings on Nikkei. 48%. Dude. That is nuts, right?
That is crazy. Half of Japan is watching you.
I couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And then, I just thought it was cool as fuck, right?
Right.
Like, anywhere.
Shit.
Yeah, but you go to Roppongi, right? And you go into a bar and everyone's just buying you champagne.
Right. Boom,
and,
boom, yeah.
I just remember randomly. I went into a bar and it was there with another K1 fighter, right? Mm-hmm. And within 3 minutes, we had 20 women standing around us and other guys trying to like buy us drinks and shots, right? And it's just like, okay, I'm loving this. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did a lot of silly things.
Yes.
That's all I could say.
Yeah. Different world, but same. Yeah. So actually, it's really funny because when I saw you jogging in Yoyogi Park, I was living right by Yoyogi Park one day, and I was like, "Oh, there's Nicholas Pettis," as he's jogging by me, and
I was like, "Oh my God, no, Thane Camus!"
I didn't know that, and we kind of eye to eye, and we just kind of did the occasional shot, right? And as he walked by, I'm like, "Oh, Nicholas Pettis!" Like, you just said hi to me, Nicholas Pettis. Yeah. Oh,
that was cool, really cool.
Yeah, that was probably at our.
I think that was we were really high peak there for sure. But and then we started becoming friends, and I don't understand where did that start from?
I'm not sure, but something
happened with the kids or something.
We started bumping into each other a little bit more often, and we realized we were in the same neighborhood.
Yeah,
because I was in Yoyogi as well, and you were in Yoyogi,
Yeah, that's right.
And
we started. Yeah, you guys used to come over for barbecues and stuff like that. I remember.
Right,
that was good times. But yeah, getting drunk on your own
fame.
Here.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got 2 things I want to go over now.
Okay.
2 more things right now. I'm going to take this moment to deep dive into some of the Thane Camus pictures that I could find online.
Pictures?
Yeah.
So I'm going to pictures.
So I'm going to show you the picture.
Oh no.
And then you're going to tell me what's really going on there. I'd like to start with this one.
Oh,
dude, what is on with that hair?
That was for a part. That was for an adult Sentai mono called GARO. So GARO is for it was like a midnight Kamen Rider, like hero, right? It was sort of like the dark hero series. And the guy, it kind of, it dealt with this world and that world.
Oh,
yeah, and,
interesting.
Right, and I was a guy that was possessed by one of the demons from that world, and that particular one. I was the Zodiac.
The Zodiac.
I was like the Zodiac killer, sort of almost.
Oh wow!
So everything was right. My victims, I would take their souls and I'd turn them into stars, right? Because I apparently before I became possessed, I was an astrologer or something like that, or in love with the heavens or whatever. And so when I got possessed, that was my thing. I would suck the life out of them, take their souls, and
put them up in the sky.
Put them up in the sky, yeah.
Interesting.
So I was like, look at my beautiful collection of stars.
So because you started in school drama acting, which do you prefer? And that's a really good question. Live stage acting or TV, movie, drama stuff?
Wow. And I've done both, obviously. Yeah. And I find the live acting on stage is very, very, you really feel the authenticity of what's happening because you can't turn it back. You can't say, cut, all right, let's go back and redo it, right? You forget a line, you got to improvise, or you have someone, kick you in the shin and be like, right? Yeah. So there's a lot of, I feel more alive doing that in a sense. There's a lot going on, I think, that you can't really turn back. And so you get a raw material, you've practiced it a million times, but still anything can happen. And then in the Japanese, they say, stage ni mamono ga sundeiru, right? There's a monster lives on the stage.
So talk about, this is live stage action.
Kyogen,
right?
Kyogen. Yeah, so this is on stage as
Yeah.
well. I guess this is going to be a wipe or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't find me to always put some up there.
Of course.
So this is good, right? Because I did this one too.
Yes. Now this one is Yokoso Kyogen. So this is me introducing Kyogen to foreigners.
What is Kyogen in a nutshell?
Okay, Kyogen in a nutshell is one of the oldest Japanese forms of entertainment. Basically, there's no, right, with the masks and the music in the background, and it's very slow moving, and it basically deals with this world and the world beyond.
Okay.
Right, and that bridge that they come out, that's kind of the bridge that bridges
The two worlds.
the two worlds, yeah. And it's more serious. It's more like an opera, basically. Kyogen is the twin brother or sister of Ono, and it deals with the everyday comedic side of life.
Yeah.
And so they were both born of the same sort of mother, if you will. And one was, slow operatic, and the other was, entertainment side of things.
Yeah.
And so they've always come sort of hand in hand, and it's been going on for about 600 years now.
That's crazy.
And it's an old Japanese form
I think what is most amazing about it, and I didn't know that until I did something called Gendai Kyogen,
Right.
which is more modernized.
Right. They took the old and the new, and they kind
Yeah.
of combined it to see what,
But they still made us, move in a certain way and speak in a certain way. But the cool thing about this Kyogen is that they convey these fantastic stories, but they use zero props.
Right.
There are no props.
Right. It's all the imagination
Yeah.
and how well the actor
Yeah.
can, entice your imagination to come forth.
I'm never doing that again, by the way.
No.
The
Why?
training for that show,
yeah.
my God. It went on for hours and hours
Yeah.
and hours, like
Days.
days and
Yeah.
weeks and months.
Yeah.
And they kept changing the script.
And on the spot,
Yeah. And
right?
then I think we did 13 performances at the end of it, something like that.
No, it was 10 years, so there's 10 altogether. I did number 4. I think you did number 5.
Oh, no,
or
I
number
mean,
6.
when we actually performed it.
Oh,
So I think we did 10 locations, 13 locations.
That's
yeah.
right. That's right. That is correct.
And so every location was done. They pulled me aside and say, "Oh, Nick, we need to change your lines."
Right. That's
Again
true,
and
yeah.
again and again. And it's just like, yeah. Anyway, so what's going on here?
Oh, wow. When is that? What is that? Holy crap! I cannot remember. That was
Just hilarious.
pretty
You look
young.
like you're 12 or something.
pretty young. Oh my goodness.
So anyway, this one here, that was just for fun though.
Okay.
But what's this one here? So tell us about that.
Oh, okay. So because of the notoriety from Karakuri,
Yeah.
right, the English
Storytelling,
storytelling program, and that, by the way, speaking of ratings, our highest rating I think was 25%.
Oh, wow.
So for a variety show,
Yeah, that's
Sunday
good.
night,
That's
25%
really good.
is like boom.
Yeah.
But so because of that, they're like, okay, they started calling me sensei. Right? I'm like, dude, I don't have any, certification for being an English teacher. But all of a sudden, I'm the English guy, right? I'm like the please tell me your story guy,
Yeah.
right? The English please guy. So, they started calling me, I started getting jobs for how to improve English. I don't know how you improve English. This is how you do it. This is how I think you should do it. And that was my whole shtick. I would go around, countrysides and whatever, schools would call me and
Right.
yeah. So naturally, I would get book offers.
Right.
So Thane's English.
That's great, isn't it?
Yeah. It would.
I mean,
wow,
dude,
I think I put
gotta
out like
ask,
6 books.
How much money would you make in a good year like that when you were top 11?
When I
like
was top. And
Yeah.
this is something I found out after I went through a whole mud-slinging disaster with my previous agency, my oldest agency.
Yeah, tell us about that story because I really want to know what happened.
Wow.
Actually,
Well, I was at my hiatus, I was getting 2.5 million yen a month.
yeah,
Yeah, which is great. I mean, I wasn't complaining.
yeah,
right?
exactly. But for the work you're doing, that's
but for
ridiculous.
the work I was doing, and then I always got the excuse, you still have a little bit more to achieve. You still, you're not quite, there at the top yet. No. I was being brainwashed, and I was like, man, 2.5 million is not.
No, that's great
bad,
money.
Right, it's great money, and so I was not
So
complaining.
that's like $25,000 approximately.
Roughly,
Yeah, a monthly, right? Yeah.
A month.
So
A
that's
month.
good. Yeah.
A month, right?
Yeah.
So again, your standard of living goes
yeah.
up there as well,
Oh, yeah.
and you're buying shit that you don't need. And anyway, that's another story for another podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But they started abusing the fact that I was exclusive with this particular agency, and the last straw that broke the camel's back was when they flung this contract in front of me saying, we own you. Right?
Wow.
You signed this for 10 years. I'm like, but I can't read kanji. I don't know what I signed, but in good faith, I've been signing it just to, keep it going.
Yeah.
So, I lost my shit and I was like, I can't work with you people anymore. Yeah. And there was a huge, lawsuit in the courts and so on and so forth. And because of that, I was able to find out because all the records have to be shown.
You have to open up the books, eh?
I was making 14 million. At my top.
A month.
A month.
So it's $140,000.
Yeah.
On a monthly basis. And they were giving you $25,000.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is like
right?
so but Japanese agent.
Thank you for the beeps. I don't know how this may be used against people.
Tomodachi, if you haven't noticed it today, we're actually taking this show on the road.
No shit, Sherlock.
This is our first road trip.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
wow.
so that's why we're actually filming in your house. We wanted to test it out and see if we could get the same kind of feeling.
Wow, cool.
Otherwise, it would have been amazing to have you in the chair.
Wow.
The chair that Konishiki sat in.
Chair.
Yeah.
Oh, Konishiki sat in a chair?
Yeah, he did. I had to pull him out of it.
I actually bumped into Koni-chan not too long ago, Sally. He was at Fukuoka airport.
Oh, yeah?
I was like, Sally. He's like, oh. Yeah, with Chia-chan.
He's hilarious.
Oh, he's
that guy.
great.
He's so
I
good.
love the guy.
Anyway, so you were making $140,000 a month, and they were giving you 25.
But on the average, I mean, when you average it out, so that was like my best month. I think it was. But on the average, it was like basically 10 million yen.
Fuck.
So, it was like, 80-20. Usually it's 80-20 the other way around, right?
Well, yeah.
The talent gets 80 and, or in some cases, I mean, 70-30 or, 60-40. But it's hardly ever 50-50 unless,
It should never be that. It should never be. What do they don't do anything for that. They just pick up the phone.
Exactly.
And tell you where to go.
Right? Yeah. And who's the one that's doing all the
Guarantee,
work?
I mean, this is what I've seen in Japanese agencies those days. They don't know how to manage talent. Mm-hmm. They say they do. They have all these fancy firms, but they really all they know how to do is to pick up the phone. Right. I have been very, very rare occasions here in Japan actually seen them go out and create jobs. Like, for example, I was very impressed when I had a conversation with my agent, which I like very much, actually. Got a great relationship. And I was talking to her about different things, about fitness and food and this and that. And I was like, could be a book.
Yeah.
And then she's like, let me talk to Kodansha about that.
Wow.
Well, like a month later, we were at Kodansha getting interviewed about the project of making a book. Wow. And like 2 months later, we'd started writing it. So I came up with So it is possible. But I mean, I think that you have to pull the gaijin card,
right?
Where you push them to do something. Otherwise, they really don't do much,
right?
Unfortunately, we're going to continue for sure. But I want to hear more. I want to hear, like, for example, what was the dumbest thing you did with your money back in the day?
Oh,
because I'll tell you what I did.
The dumbest thing. Well, you see, I wasn't so much into the luxuries of life, so to speak. I mean, if I had received what I should have been receiving, I probably would have bought a house.
Yeah,
right,
absolutely.
of course.
I brought a gift for you today, though.
Oh,
and since I thought that it, could be something we could have a look at together, I just want to say thank you for being on the podcast.
Oh no, thank you for having me.
Grab one of these.
It's a Camus.
The Camus.
The Camus. It's a brandy. Oui, c'est excellence. Cognac. Wow, dude.
This is a fantastic bottle. I've never tried it, but I thought we could try it together.
This is the good shit.
Yeah, this is the good shit.
Oh, man, the real good shit.
Anyway, let me open it up and pour some little glass in and we'll see how it goes.
And it comes with these fancy glasses, too. Look at that. That's like a grappa glass, yeah?
You know what I did with my money?
What did you do with your money?
The first thing I bought was a Harley Davidson.
A Harley Davidson.
Yeah. I went straight in and bought a Softail. In cash.
Isn't it great when you can do that, right?
Yeah.
Kabam! Yeah. I want that.
I want to ride it home today.
Thank you.
And then I needed a car. So I went in and I saw, at the time, the Odysseys?
Yes.
They were like kind of popular back in the day. Wow, that looks beautiful.
Didn't you get a Cadillac? Oh, ooh.
Yeah, later on I got a Cadillac. Wow. And that was also one of the stupid things to buy, by the way. Didn't buy that in cash. Thank God for that. But I went down to a store, like a car shop, right? And I saw this Odyssey, which was blue, and I wanted it in black.
Oh.
So I bought a blue Odyssey in cash, told him to paint it for me.
And how much did that cost?
Well, so the car was about...
It wasn't matte, right? It was like metallic black or...
No, it was just black, like clear black. But so the car cost, I think, 15 grand US, right? Something like that.
Wow.
And then the paint job was another 3 grand. And I was like, why am I wasting $3,000 on a paint job when I can buy a black car? They sell them in black.
Because you can.
Exactly. Let's just drop this.
Ooh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, you don't have to drink it.
Yeah, no, I will have a sip. Yeah, so because of my many drunken escapades, I have decided that it's either all or nothing in my case. This does smell really nice, though.
Well, it's just for the show. I mean, you can just smell it if you want.
Thank
Cheers.
you. Cheers. No, but
Interesting.
Ooh.
It tastes like almonds.
It rolls off the tongue, man. Wow. And it just
Explodes.
spreads. And it comes out the nose. And
nice.
Woo.
Anyway, I went in. I thought I didn't know that he doesn't drink anymore. He stopped drinking, but we're back tonight. I went into the store to look for something, right? And it's just like it was right there, and I was like, "Holy shit, Camus, I gotta get it."
Thank you.
Oh yeah.
Thank you. My ancestors will be proud.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what was the dumbest thing you bought?
The dumbest thing,
everyone always does.
You see, that was the thing. I never had a shitload of cash, a lump sum, to be able to do it. I was always paying the rent and the taxes and all the stuff. And by the end of it, we'd have a little bit of, whatever was left over. And that would go to the international school.
Ah, yeah, okay.
Right?
Yeah, you're screwed there.
Yeah. So
fair enough.
Yeah. So, I mean, if I had received a lump sum cash, I probably would have done something stupid like that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good thing you didn't get that cash in hand. Just imagine this, right? In 2001, when I won the title, the K1 Japan title, right? There was a $70,000 win bonus.
Wow.
There was a knockout bonus for if you knocked out for like it's $10,000, I think it was. Wow. So I knocked out the first two guys. I got the win bonus because I won the championship, right? And then I had my fight money, which at the time was about 5 million. So that's another $50,000. Wow. So in one night.
Oh wow! Did you get it? No.
Well, they pay you like a couple of days after the fight, just wired straight into the bank.
Wow.
My God, it was just like whoa.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oof.
I can buy anything I want.
Right. I'm gonna wipe my ass with this.
Pretty much, man. It was really fun though. But I just remember that. I remember going from. Then you start thinking about money in a different way. You start looking at money and not respecting it.
Right.
Like it's just like, and then you'll take all your friends out for dinner, or you do something silly. It's just money just went.
Right. Actually, I was spending a lot of money on my friends, taking them out to dinner and treating them and that sort of thing, buying presents, that weren't really necessary, but just to kind of, keep people happy, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But in your industry also, it's kind of, you got the dark side as well, where you're expecting to be getting a certain amount that you don't, right?
Oh man, they screwed me big time there. Contracts
and
here.
You're not the first either. I've heard stories from others as well.
Well, so your percentage is actually fairly good compared to a Thai fighter. Buakaw won the K1 Max World Championships, right? And there was 100. I think it was 100. That year was 100,000 or 200,000 win prize for it, and he only got 10% of that.
Really?
And he also has a separate contract for fight money, of course. And his manager takes 90%.
What?
And he's happy with that. That's how Thai fighters are.
Wow. I guess
just think about all the money he could have made.
Yeah. Wow.
But he was happy because he was able to, even with that 10%, he was able to put his sister through school and get her a proper education. I remember they made a documentary about that one time.
Wow.
It was really interesting, actually.
Wow. So yeah, I mean, I've grown over the years, and I've come to appreciate what I have, and not be too greedy or too demanding or too
Your beard has definitely grown, that's for sure.
There we go.
So I'm asking you this because I know you have a little farm around the corner, a little piece of land where you raise your own organic. Is it organic?
It's organic, yeah. No, don't use any.
Because you were really getting into the organic vibe there for a while.
I was, and I still am.
Yeah.
I realized, I came to the realization when my first son was born, me and my wife at the time were basically, we went from convenience store, onigiri, bento foods and whatnot overnight, to Natural House, which is in Omotesando, right? All organic food and whatever. And it was just like, honey, what happened?
Wow.
And she's like, I can't eat that shit anymore. I've got a baby. I'm like, whoa.
Everything's like 10 times more expensive.
Wow, exactly, right? It's all of a sudden, I got to start spending organic money.
Yeah.
Yeah. And which you know is great. I mean, it's all for a good purpose and a good cause, and it means something. But I just, you know, from one extreme to the other was just, it took a little adjustment. You know, it took a little time to adjust to
What
that
did you
as well.
learn? What was the most valuable lesson you learned?
The most
from doing
valuable
that?
lesson is that there's so much shit in regular food, and the preservatives, right, and all the GMOs and, you know, genetically modified, you know, shit, and the damage that it causes, you know, to the body. You know, realize that it doesn't happen, you know, overnight, but it adds up, and it slowly sediments, right, over the years, and, you know, before you know it, you've got cancer. You don't know, you know, and it's something that probably happened 10 years ago from whatever it was that you started eating. Right. You know, and the amount of sugar that they got in there. I mean, I love sugar. I got a sweet tooth, but, you know, there's so many other alternatives. I mean, like the artificially made sugars are the worst. Yeah. You know, and these things, when you come to the realization of, and you do a little bit of research, or you get a little bit of an education about these things, you come to the realization that, you know, there are so many natural and good alternatives that you don't have to. Yeah. You know, everything that is made artificially is made, you know, with the purpose of addicting you to continue consuming that particular, you know, like French fries, for example, you know, the Big M has 14 different ingredients. I made French fries the other night, you know, for my kids, and I only used 3 ingredients, right? Potatoes, oil, and salt. That's right. And that's all you need. And the good potato, I mean, the potatoes I use are organic as well. Yeah. And they taste like, mwah. I made chips, right? I got a slicer, just slicing my chips and throwing in the oil. Cool. Right? And then you take them out and you let them dry, you know, a little bit of salt. It's better than the friggin' packs of chips that I buy. And you look at the back of it, it's got preservatives and, you know, amino acids and all. It's like, oh my goodness, all these ingredients just to make chips? Like, holy crap, you know? Yeah. So when you come to the realization of that, you know, you start shifting a little bit more consciously and being a little bit more, I mean, I'm not religious about it. I'm not, you know, fanatic about it. My kids eat junk food all the time. You know, I buy it for them as well. I enjoy my little ice cream every now and again. Yeah. But I try, when I'm not on a binge, to eat as healthily as I can, trying to keep my, you know, immune system up as well. You know, you keep your immunity up, I think you can kick COVID's ass.
Man, I'm all for it, dude. I'm really all for it. I'm just recently finished listening to a book.
Isn't that funny? Listening to a book.
Yeah, no, because now,
audio.
You know, new fiance, you know, she's got audiobooks and stuff, and I just used to listen to music while I'm driving the car, and then she's like, "Why don't we listen to books while we're in the car? Because we spend a lot of time going back and forth in the car." And we're like, "Oh, it's a great idea." So we listen to 2 books now. The first one was Shoe Dog by Phil Knight, who made Nike. Yeah, how he went from being a distributor for Onizuka Tigers in America, to building his own brand. Wow. Yeah.
He basically Tiger is a good brand.
Yeah, but he got betrayed by them, and then he's like, he had the audacity to just like jump and like change everything like instantly. Wow. Very fascinating book, actually. Wow. It's really good. You should definitely check it out.
Shoe Dog.
But now that we were talking about organic stuff, right? And the second book that I just finished listening to was by Yvonne. I can't say his last name, but he's the man who made Patagonia, the brand.
Oh, okay.
So Patagonia's philosophy is all about making the world a better place, doing good.
Excellent.
And but literally standing up to those beliefs and everything. And so some of the things is that he speaks about is the organic versus the green thing, I think it was. Anyway, there's some people that say they think it's organic, but it's actually not organic.
Right.
So he switched his all the cotton that they buy is completely organic, which is like done with proper, you know, not pesticides and not what do you call it, you know, GMOs, modified GMO stuff. But he also made a food company, and so they're following the same philosophies, but he says you should always ask the 5 whys. Like keep digging, go like shred 5, you know, layers down, and then see if it can be better, if there's anything that can be done better. And I think with food, you really can do it better.
Oh yeah.
And I spoke in a very in the book. It goes on in a quite detail about the benefits of organic farming, for example. like when you're, crop changing and everything,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you're keeping the earth alive in a
Yeah,
better
right.
way. You're making better food that's healthier. You're actually creating more jobs. And it's just healthier. And there's some of the things he said was absolutely mind-blowing. They had this bison farm in America, for example, where they were experimenting with the compost of something. I can't forget what it was. But by changing the topsoil, if they could change the whole topsoil of the farms in California, for example, you could get lower carbon dioxide, reduction in the whole globally.
Right.
Like you could like measure it actually. So I thought it was crazy.
Because they're taxing people in New Zealand, I think it was, or Australia or somewhere, for cow farts.
Yeah.
Right? The cows are farting too much and they're causing too much, carbon dioxide, and
Yeah.
you can't do that.
Yeah.
And I listened to this one particular podcast about what's happening in the world right now from sources that are actually embedded in certain places in the deep state and in the
So
governments
true.
and so on. Yeah.
I saw on independent media outlet here in Japan that a guy had burned himself alive in Shinjuku. This is like, I don't know, 5-6 years ago or something like that. But that never made mainstream media.
No.
And I was just like, this is crazy. Sadly, when they were building the new stuff over there in Shinjuku, and he was protesting all by himself and just poured gasoline all over himself and burned himself. I was like, what?
Yeah.
This is Japan. Like, Japan's like one of the safest places in the world, right? And at the same time, there's always this, bubbling, like, dark water, like, you know what I'm talking about? It's also the country in the world with the highest rate of suicides, right?
Exactly.
There's like 250, no, what is it, 25 to 26,000 people on an annual base kill themselves in Japan.
Oh, my goodness. And it's not, honorable deaths, right? It's like people just can't take the shit anymore.
Yeah. But so, marijuana, should it be legalized here in Japan?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Is it going to come, do you think, one day?
I don't know.
Is there even a petition over here for that?
No, because every time there is, someone gets slapped or, whatever. But Japan actually has a very long history of hemp. Right? Whether they, smoked it and got high or not is a different subject. But it's all goes all the way back to the imperial household. Right? All the monks, the monks, the clothes were made from hemp.
Right.
Right? They had a hemp ceremony.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff, a lot of, textiles and whatnot were made from hemp. There's even an Asanokami in Kyoto dedicated to the hemp god.
Interesting.
The deity of hemp,
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are so many, scientific and medicinal. It's a medicinal herb.
Yeah.
Basically. So I don't.
Well, what is the CB oil?
CBD.
CBD. Yeah.
CBD right now. It comes from the hemp plant, which is also direct.
Does that make you high?
No, CBD does not have THC. THC is the molecule that gets you high, and that's usually in the marijuana plant.
Right.
The whole plant is marijuana, basically, but it's the hemp category or the marijuana category. And marijuana has THC, and that gets you high. Hemp usually is, I think, the female plant or the male plant, whichever, but that has no THC, and that basically is also very, very beneficial. So it's basically the same thing with or without. It's like, coffee, decaf or with caffeine.
Right.
And people who don't want to get high will go for the decaf.
Yeah.
And coffee is a drug. Nicotine is a drug. Right? Look at all the over-the-counter, medications that have side effects. 99.9 of them have side effects.
It's true. But so, I mean, Canada legalizes it.
Yeah, Canada has, America has,
most of America.
More than half of America now legalized it either for conventional use or for medicinal use.
Yeah, I mean, why don't they just follow troop there?
Well, they've followed it so far for everything else, right? Yeah, but if they followed it all of a sudden, I think it would destroy too many. It's like, we have aliens among us all of a sudden, right? And it's like, there was a story of military personnel that actually committed suicide because they couldn't take the fact that there were actually aliens, that had been identified. They were just like, it was just too much for the brain to take.
Whoa.
Because they had been indoctrinated that there weren't aliens and it's all a conspiracy and no. But, when they actually were told of the truth,
what truth is this?
The truth is that there are aliens, that they do actually exist, and they are, amongst us even.
Aliens.
Aliens.
From outer space.
From outer space. Dude, we're from outer space. We are a little teeny weeny friggin' rock that's floating in space. So
that's true.
Why can there not be? I mean, to think that we are the only existing life form in universe is nuts.
But that opens up for another conversation, right? This is interstellar, what do you call it? Galactic space travel, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're so far. We're like, we're like chimpanzees compared to like all these other places, right?
Potentially.
Coming and going, right?
So why is it not mainstream? Why are the aliens not mainstream?
But they are becoming mainstream now, right? And you notice how America is starting to, now they've declassified all the UFO documents and stuff.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, I was wondering if you had anything you wanted to share with the Tomodachis today. Any
stories to share.
Anything coming up? Any projects?
Well, no, not really that I can think off the top of my head. I'm just enjoying life at the moment, being where I am, doing what I do.
I wanted to thank you very much for coming on the show,
thank
man.
you.
It's been
I do have
honor.
one thing I do have is a YouTube channel. I'm doing what I really hate doing, which is sitting in front of a TV and playing games.
You're doing video games?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I was
on YouTube.
Yes, it was brought to my attention that I probably should do something that I don't like doing, which is a challenge, commenting on games, because apparently there's a large audience.
Yeah.
And I have, attempted that, and it's going rather well.
Cool.
Not that I would dedicate my life to it, but amongst other things that I've done, which is cooking. I like cooking.
Yeah.
So I've done some cooking things. But my YouTube channel, I'm hoping to expand a little bit more, to, go out and do some fishing, adventures, meeting people, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And, being a little bit more adventurous.
I've got
maybe introduce my
Nick and
farm.
Ange's adventure vlog.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We're changing the name from Nicholas Pettis vlog to Nick and Ange Adventures.
Nick and Ange's Adventures. Nice. I see you guys on that what is that? Is it a skateboard?
One-wheeler.
A one-wheeler.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, with your GoPro or whatever it is.
Oh, yeah.
Just zooming down the screen,
Yeah,
man. I was
it's
like,
really cool.
that looks so cool.
Really cool.
I'd like to try that.
Let's do an adventure.
Absolutely.
Together one day.
Absolutely.
Let's go camping or something for sure.
For sure.
Tomodachis, thank you guys for watching.
Again, yeah.
If you want to support the show even better, go ahead and head over to patreon.com/The Tokyo Show and become a super extreme Tomodachi.
Ooh.
This was it.
Extreme Tomodachi.
Thank you
There
guys.
you go. Thanks a lot. Honor. Thank you, Nicholas. That was really good.